Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. I went back and I've got the receipts on all of these guys' preseason predictions. We're going to listen back to them on today's show.
Luke Inman on Twitter, @Luke_Spinman. Today we compete with Kwesi on how many pop culture references we can name on the show. Guys, I got the over-under set at 5.5, so let's get jiggy with it.
I'm Luke Braun, Locked On Vikings, and I'm excited to find the time horizon.
Arif Hasan, Pro Football Network. We're using pop culture references from the 2000s? Is that what's happening now? I'm ready for the millennium.
That's so 3008.
We're going to party like it's 1999 on today's Minnesota football party.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota football party. It's your guys hanging out talking next level Vikings football. So join in with Pro Football Network's Arif Hasan, Locked On Vikings Luke Braun, Superior Sports Talk's Luke Inman, and Vikings insider Sam Ekstrom, plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota football party. And it starts now.
What's up, everybody? The Minnesota football party returns with the full four-man crew, plus Ron Johnson later. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. On Twitter, @Sam Ekstrom. Give me a follow. The two Lukes are with us, Braun and Inman, and Arif Hasan of Pro Football Network, @Arif Hasan NFL on Twitter. On today's show, I've got preseason prediction receipts. We're going to dive into that, see how wrong we all were. Final press conference yesterday, Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Is Ed Donatel officially toast? I think he might be. And we'll also predict Kirk and JJ's potential extensions this offseason. Before we talk about all of that, and we've got Ron Johnson coming later as well, as mentioned, find us in a myriad of ways. Locked On Sports Minnesota app on Amazon Fire and Roku. We're on YouTube. Subscribe there. Help us get to 5,000 subscribers. Locked On Sports Minnesota. It's free to subscribe. You get all our videos. And on audio, we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I know you've got your favorite app. Go check us out on whatever that might be. Gentlemen, I'm really excited to get to the preseason bit. It's one of my favorite things all year because we've all forgotten what we said. We have no clue what we predicted, how wrong we were, how overly optimistic we were. This is going to be a good bit. But I think we first need to talk about yesterday's presser. The big finale at TCO Performance Center. KOC and Kwesi took the podium and put the season to bed. Arif Hasan, well, let's start with you, a Pro Football Network. Major takeaways from the final presser of the year.
Yeah, I mean, the commitment to Kirk Cousins was not strong, but it was significantly stronger than the commitment to Ed Donatel. I expect Kirk Cousins to be here next year felt weirdly soft, but again, stronger than the way Kwesi characterized the Kirk Cousins contract situation last year in the offseason when Kirk Cousins had not yet been extended. And I believe there was a genuine question about whether or not the Vikings would choose to trade him, extend him long-term, or extend him short-term. They ended up extending him medium-term, some kind of weird middle of all worlds, which in this case turned out to be the correct move. Who knows? But yeah, I think this commitment to Kirk Cousins was kind of interesting because I would have expected kind of a stronger statement, but I'm not that concerned about it. The Ed Donatel thing is definitely the most interesting thing. You know, hey, I'm going to talk about it with everybody tomorrow sort of stuff. I'm going to evaluate all phases. I'm going to talk to the coaching staff. Like, geez, the thing is, you can't let Donatel know he's fired through a press conference with reporters. So I get it. But man, that felt rough.
That would be cool.
Have you ever...
I mean, you can't, but can you? That would be pretty. All right.
If you've ever been
there was a Secretary of State that found out he got fired via Twitter, right?
I didn't know that, but I love it.
Yeah, but it was just
what are politics?
Like,
never heard of this.
Yeah.
If you've ever been like really deep in like a TV series or like a series of movies and they've got to kill off like a big character and then that character starts like telling all the other characters how much they mean to them and starts talking about like all the things that they wish they had done in life, or like starts talking about how they're going to retire from all this, like go open up a sleepy bed and breakfast in Nebraska. And it's like, oh, that character's going to die. This is where Ed Donatel's
named the yacht Princess. I'm going to retire in 5 days.
So,
too old for this crap, Jimmy.
If Ron Johnson comes on and starts righting all his wrongs and makes up with Luke Braun, like maybe that's a sign. Like,
right. Then it's like, wait, is somebody about to get written off the show? Oh, no.
We'll see what happens next episode, I guess. Find out next week.
My favorite
if I start being nice to Luke Braun, I mean, then write some letters, man.
Then I'm going to get scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you planning?
Then Ron knows something about your fate, Braun. Like that's him trying to let you down.
What is Arif planning? I think my favorite was after the game, like the immediate post-game presser after the Giants game. Somebody asked about Donatel, and Kevin O'Connell's answer was, "We love how hard he tried.
He tried as hard as he could. Bless his heart. Poor Ed.
Goodness gracious."
Somebody asked him about Donatel. Don't know who that would have been.
He came here to the building and he worked. I saw him work.
Yeah.
He worked
real
hard.
It was kind of like he worked hard. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. It wasn't like, hey, there's stuff in the works. We know that there's a lot of potential. He's unlocking the defense. Next year it's going to be a lot better. There's no, under the surface, there's just kind of a lot of things that he did really well that, go on. It was just he worked hard. Like
when they talk about you in the same way they talked about Kellen Mond, you're in trouble. That's exactly what I thought of when they were. It was a compusult. It was a compliment. It was an insult disguised as a compliment. A condescending pat on the head. Ed Donatel is on a major hot seat right now, guys, and I think that they're probably waiting to see like how the deck lands with available coordinators, maybe, and coming up with a succession plan, perhaps. But I'd be surprised if we get on this show even on Monday or next Thursday at the latest, and he's still employed.
Yeah. Oh, they got to make this decision quickly. Honestly, right, because there's a lot of DCs potentially floating around, and they're going to get snapped up sooner rather than later. I think the Browns are looking for one. Obviously, all the new head coaches are going to be looking for one. Right. I think there's 1 or 2 new defensive coordinator jobs outside of the new head coaches. So
yeah. To that, but I think whenever your season ends, it's probably easy to start the knee-jerk reactions, make moves based on the emotions, and I think they just want to take a second, let the dust settle. Maybe, like you said, Sam, maybe just for the weekend here, regroup, reflect, figure out the best path forward, what that looks like. And I think to Arif's point, if they were deeper in the playoffs, that would be a lot more challenging because coaches, front office personnel, they're already getting scooped. They get scooped up so quick at this point in the year. The Titans just hired someone from the Niners front office. The Cardinals, I think, made some changes a week or so ago. So you can't wait too long, but I think it's still early enough to where they do have this little window here, an opportunity to sit down, reflect, take the emotion out of it, though, this fresh feeling of, damn, season's over, and make sure you take that out of it, I guess, and make the best decision possible for the grand scheme, the big picture. So just off his remarks, though, yesterday, didn't sound like there would be a resolution until they evaluate the entire team and coaching staff top to bottom. How long that takes, though, I know they've already started that process. Maybe it does just take the weekend. It was definitely worth noting. He didn't say, yes, he's coming back, but obviously didn't close the door on a possible change there either.
This is kind of interesting. We were talking about Brandon Staley potentially being the defensive coordinator in Minnesota.
Right.
If he gets fired, he stays. He fires his offensive coordinator. Brandon Staley reaches out to the Vikings.
Yes.
And wants Wes Phillips.
That's wild.
And Wes turned him down.
Yeah, Wes could have been a play caller, and he's like, good.
Hey, Keenan McCardell.
Hey, know what Wes knows?
Picked up the phone and talked to Keenan McCardell. That worries.
Wes knows that his dad's coming to be the DC. That's what Wes knows.
Oh.
I saw that in the replies. I don't think that's likely, but that would rule.
That would be awesome.
It's always a nice sign when other teams are asking around about your coaches.
About lateral hires, too.
It tells you what people think of you,
No, but seriously, are we worried about Keenan McCardell getting sniped? Patriots offensive coordinator position?
I think the Patriots are casting a wide net. But I mean, that's a worry. I wouldn't want to lose McCardell. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's a sign that you're probably going to lose him sooner rather than later. It was already a sign that of the few staff holdovers from the previous regime, he was one of them.
100%.
Got a lot of respect.
One of the only ones on the actual coaching side.
Yeah.
Maybe the only one.
Yeah. Was there any other one?
I wanted to
Just
soften it.
coaches.
I don't actually know if there was another one, but yeah, I mean, it says a lot about the respect that he's garnered around the league.
Mm-hmm.
There are even people who are like, he was the key to that Jacksonville offense. Now that we know that Nate Hackett's been exposed as a fraud, and it's like, well, he wasn't calling plays. Relax,
Right? Pump the brakes.
Has he ever had like a schematic role here? Because I always thought he was just like a position.
I'm sure
developing wideouts.
that his role in offensive game planning has increased over time. But I mean, it's like one of those, like, I mean, they talked about it at the beginning of the season about how like unimportant titles are, which, I mean, you'll get a lot of that, especially when like a new corporate culture is being developed. And I use that phrase because that's exactly kind of what the Vikings feel like sometimes, like a startup culture. And so they'll talk about like, oh, the titles are not that important. If you've got an idea, just contribute. It's about what you can provide, not what your name is or what your title is. But I mean, this happens a lot. Like the reason, for example, that Gerard Mayo is getting so much or was getting so much play before he turned everybody down as a potential head coach, despite being a linebackers coach, is because his role grew to the point where he was doing more game planning than the somewhat nominal defensive. There is no nominal defensive coordinator, but the guy that everyone tapped as the defensive coordinator, Steve Belichick. So he was doing more defensive coordinating throughout the week than Steve Belichick. Just wasn't doing the play calling. Belichick was, and turned down a co-defensive coordinator job with the New England Patriots because he knew that if he took that job, he could be blocked from taking on an actual defensive coordinator job somewhere else. So he stayed the position coach so he could keep his possibilities open for being a defensive coordinator somewhere or a head coach somewhere. So,
but still has that game install kind of on his resume now, as far as building those installs.
So I'm not saying that that's like what Keenan McCardell's role is, but I'm saying that this kind of responsibility expansion is somewhat normal. I don't know specifically with regards to McCardell, but the fact that he's got as much respect as he does, the fact that the Patriots reached out to see if he wants to be an offensive coordinator means a lot, especially because Bill Belichick, like, he's so particular about his coaches. Like, he's so particular that he brought in Matt Patricia and Joe Judge to be co-offensive coordinators because he didn't want to teach a new coach how to coach under him, right? So he wanted people who were very familiar with the system, which is the reason that Gerard Mayo is the only position coach in the history of the Patriots organization to not have been a quality control coach or have been a coach somewhere else before. So like, it is so important to Belichick to have that. So the fact that he reached out to Keenan McCardell, I think, speaks volumes about his respect for McCardell's attention to detail.
Yeah, no, that's big time. Let's get back into the champagne problems and the Kirk Cousins potential extension a little bit later in the show. I can't wait any longer. I want to get back to the preseason predictions. I'm going to expose all of you for the frauds that you are. But first, tell you about betonline.net, the number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends. Every pro and amateur league. NFL lines this weekend. Chiefs by 9, Eagles by 7.5, Bills by 5.5, Niners by 3.5. You can get the spreads, the money lines, the totals, all of that for all the leagues at betonline.net. Check it out on your computer, your mobile device, whatever you have access to. It's BetOnline, where the game starts. 9 categories, gentlemen. We made 9 predictions before the season. I'm going to read off the category. I'm going to give you the correct answer, and then we'll see what we all said. I've got a couple select audio pieces that I'll play as well.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Game-winning drives. I kept them mostly for the
game. Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Boy, did you tee us up on this one, huh? Just a softball.
No way did any of us get this one.
Arif, you said 2. You assumed Kirk Cousins.
I think you had the most.
Regression. Sam and Braun each said 3 game-winning drives, which, hey, that's about Kirk Cousins' like max for his career.
That's like an entirely normal number of game-winning drives in a season.
It's not bad, right? Like, there are years where the leader in game-winning drives had 5.
Yeah, right.
Luke Inman, Mr. Optimist, you said 4. You get the point. You're the winner.
Congratulations. Wow.
I saw
it coming, guys. What can I say? It was pretty obvious. All the signs were there.
the NFL record, or I guess tie the NFL record for game-winning drives. I should have anticipated that.
We're bad at this.
Yeah, where's my prop bet ticket from Vegas, from Caesars? Oh, I didn't lay that one down? Damn.
We were horrible at that one, but hey, we have redemption with the next category. Dalvin Cook rushing yards. The correct answer ended up being 1173. All right, 1173. Sam Ekstrom said 1102.
Nice.
Woo. Luke Inman said 1108.
You price is right at him.
Sam?
Luke Braun said 1148.
Dang.
Very impressive, Luke Braun.
he's
You
waiting.
would get the
Okay.
point had Arif Hasan not come in with this.
So for me, my prediction ended up being, I'm going to be even more specific than Luke, 1,169.8 yards. So for
Are you joking me with
Stop it.
Get out! People,
Back
get
to the
out!
Future,
He's a robot.
Twilight Zone?
He's an alien.
We
I got
all
within-
got within 100 yards. Like nobody decided to be a contrarian,
Right.
And it was the one that we were all like pretty right about.
That is
That's
freaky.
wild. Holy crap. What was the
You were-
1172? Is that what you said?
You were 1173 is correct. You were 3.2 yards away.
3.
Wow.
Jesus.
Wow.
I got within 3.2
So, like, one
rushing
carry.
yards, but I got within 6 in game-winning drives.
Closer in rush yards than game-winning drive.
That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
That's freaky, man. Hey, what's the S&P 500 doing tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm kind of out of it.
That's another Kwesi reference from yesterday. Justin Jefferson receiving yards. Arif Hasan,
I think I was down relative to everyone.
you went 16-16. You went the lowest of anybody.
Yeah, I was about to say I think I'm down because everyone was real high on this one.
Luke Inman, you were modest, 1688. Not bad. It's a good total.
Still good.
At least it's 200 more than something very worrisome, that's for sure.
Braun, you were the optimist. You were the 2,000-yard man. You said 2,010 yards.
Dang.
Oh man,
JJ
you
said-
were on pace.
You were on it.
We were tracking it.
Oh boy.
Jefferson said he was getting 2,000, and I
Mhm.
thought somebody needed to represent his own opinion.
You believed him. And had he played a full game against the Bears, who knows? But the winner
He
of
puts
this
the right shoes
category
on.
was,
Mhm.
I'm going to add one catch per game from last year, which might be modest, but I think 125 as your total is still a pretty good total. At 15 yards per reception, I'm going 18.75 league.
Woo!
Look
That's the
at
winning
that.
number.
And you got within 3 on the receptions too.
Yeah, not too shabby. We've all got a feather in our cap here.
Look at that.
A point for Ekstrom. All right, Adam Thielen touchdowns.
Ugh.
This
Oh,
was
boy.
a lot of homerism here.
Oh, boy.
We were super optimistic. Luke, you thought 12. Oh, by the way, the answer is 6.
Yeah.
Answer is 6. Luke, you had 12. Inman. Sam, 11. Arif, 10. The only one of us who had maybe a more realistic view was Luke Braun, who leaned on the Vegas line and said 7. 7.
Wow.
Count
He
it.
gets the point.
Man, I'm glad I didn't see that before the season. I would have smashed that over. 7, huh? In Vegas? That's crazy.
I did smash that.
Good
over,
call. Oh, you did.
and I lost on it. Yeah,
Rough.
I thought he'd be a red zone guy.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean
Me
he's
too.
consistently been a 10 touchdown producer regardless of yards.
Did all of his touchdowns come on the same play design?
It's felt like it, didn't it? Copy paste.
That's that bunch play action smash thing.
Well, he had a leak touchdown, didn't he? In the way that Jefferson's had a couple.
Maybe
I'm
did
wrong.
he?
Wow.
Thielen just always like sifted through the secondary, kind like he
In
would
the
just
red
kinda
zone?
like
Yeah.
at the goal line.
Oh
Yep.
yes,
he would
he
get
had like
those
a wide open
2-yard
Yep.
touchdown reception.
Kind of like the Irv Smith touchdown versus the Giants. Just kind of, yeah.
yeah.
one. Yeah,
Za'Darius Daniel combined sacks. Correct answer 20 and a half. 20 and a half.
Okay.
Luke Inman, you started this one. You had a lot of optimism. You said 28 and a half. You thought it was going to be 14 and 14 and a half, the two totals.
The pressure was
um,
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
Finish the
they
job.
converted. Pressure to sack. Arif said 23. I said 22.5. Luke Braun, another point for you, my friend. 20 was your
Wow.
answer.
Wow.
Half a point away.
Dang, nailed it.
As he fist pumps. Braun takes the lead. He's got 2 points. We got 4 to go. And then Ron Johnson. Next category, Greg Joseph. Final 2 minutes of the game field goal rate. I wanted you to predict what out of what. So, Luke Inman, you kicked it off, and we ridiculed you. You said 5 of 7. And Arif and Braun came in and said he won't have that many opportunities. Well, he ended up going 5 of 5. Last 2 minutes of fourth quarter, last 2 minutes of overtime. Luke Inman takes it.
Did not anticipate this many one-score games.
All the
What
signs were
fools
there,
we.
guys.
Certainly 14 one-score games in 2021.
Yeah,
they can't do that again.
They can't do that again.
So my only
In
2
fact,
points.
they did not exactly do that.
My only 2 points is Kirk Cousins' game-winning drives and Greg Joseph 2 minute and under field goals. Got it. Okay.
Arif said 2 of 3, which is kind of close to the percentage, but not close to the
Percentage-wise.
attempts.
Yeah.
I said 4 of 6, and Braun said 1 of 3. So Luke Inman gets the point.
1 of
Season-
3. Have you no faith?
In Vikings
Did you think he was going to be
kickers?
cut by week 8?
I think because they were like hyping him up so much over the preseason,
Yeah.
and I was like, this
And you were,
can't.
you were
end well.
just zagging because they were digging. You're like, nah, nope, nah.
Kiss of death, Matt Daniel.
Kicker optimism. I've seen this story before.
Yeah.
I had some more audio pieces, and for some reason they didn't load in, so I'm sorry about that. Now, this one was kind of sad, kind of morbid. I wanted you to guess the number of season-ending injuries that this team would suffer. And we agreed that it was some kind of a gray area sometimes on whether it was a starter, because it was starters, season-ending injuries to starters. I think it ended up being 1. I think it was 1. No, because Irv
Brian
came
O'Neill.
back. Brian O'Neill.
Oh, okay. Oh, so
Oh,
yeah,
and-
okay. We probably had this discussion when it happened, but like the same injury occurring 6 weeks later would be a season-ending injury for some instances, but not other instances.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
But Brian O'Neill's season on a partially torn Achilles probably ends no matter when.
yeah, it probably ends no matter what. It's just like Irv, in most circumstances, that would have been a season-ending injury.
Right.
So yeah, because I guess Andrew Booth not a starter, right?
Not
Lewis
as a
Cine,
starter.
not a
Yeah.
starter.
Yeah, Lewis Cine definitely not a starter, right?
So that's it.
Yeah.
It was 1. And with that being the case, nobody got it on the nose. We have to split the points here. We have a 3-way tie. Luke Inman optimistically said 0. He shares in the points. Sam and Braun said 2. They each get a third of a point. Arif, on your shutout. You said 3.
I said 3.
Yeah.
It was always next year.
I went 0. I didn't want the bad juju. I didn't want that.
Speaking
bad
of
mojo.
regression,
Yeah, yeah, right.
Here's another one where we split. In-season acquisitions who played 100-plus snaps.
Is it just
Obviously,
the one?
TJ Hawkinson, but there's another.
Oh, wow.
Duke.
There is another.
Was not Duke. He was not in season.
Oh, is
he was preseason.
Tyrus Tonga?
then?
Tonga.
Wow.
100 snaps? That's not that much. Yeah.
Wow.
He was starting by the end of it. He knocked out Jonathan Bullard.
Wow.
Tonga.
Killer.
Nobody
Look at
said
this dude
2,
go. Nobody said
but
2.
Inman and I said 1. So we each get half a point. Arif and Braun said none.
Oh, okay. I was like, no way did I say 3. Okay, that makes more sense.
Lesson learned.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised I
Better
didn't
Kwesi.
say 0. Just hearing it back, that's pretty shocking.
In season, well, because like, why would I say 0 if I said 3 in season injuries? Wow, I'm less consistent than I need to be. That's
So
crazy.
true.
You were
Yeah.
hedging. You were hedging, and you ended up getting no points out of it.
Exactly how hedging always ends up playing out.
Finally, win-loss record. Luke Braun,
boy.
you thought
Oh.
the Kirk Cousins 500 mojo was too strong. You went 8-1 with a tie against the Bears.
I forgot
forgot I did that.
Which game
Tie
versus
the
the Bears
Bears.
was the tie? Week
The last one.
18?
And that they
last
go in
game.
8-8,
A
and then we'd
chance
be
to
like,
get in
well,
the
at least we'll
playoffs?
know winning or losing record,
Yeah.
and then we would also be denied that.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
No regrets.
Mm-mm.
I will apologize for nothing.
Arif, you also liked the tie. 10-6-1 was your prediction. Luke
That's
Inman?
pretty optimistic, I think, considering how I talk about this team.
I agree.
Inman went 10-7.
Still would have won the division.
Inman
Hey, so
had double
mine,
digits.
mine was better than Inman's.
Yeah.
It was by half a game.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
The
Mr.
winner?
Optimist over here.
The winner because he was trying to spite somebody who was ripping him on Twitter. Well, guess what, Jack Viking? 12-5. 12-5.
Get it. Love it.
We're doing this.
That's it.
So,
This is my new favorite bit.
final scores.
Oh, God.
2 and
Did I get 1 point?
points. You got a third of a point and half of a point. You tied with me. I got 2 and 5/6. Arif, you got 1.
Yeah.
Braun, you got 2 and a third. Inman, congratulations, man.
Look
We
at that.
share the spoils.
It's not a big deal.
Tip of the
I
cap.
got my new premium picks coming out. Just sign up for that package. That's $39.95. And, no, I'm just kidding.
1-900 picks in. Call anytime.
The lock of the century.
Of the week.
Parlays, overs,
Two-finer.
unders, spreads. We've got it all. We wait for Ron Johnson on
Sam,
the
that was
program. Yeah, thank you.
That was
Make sure
great
to
fun.
check out Locked On Sports Today, the biggest stories around the sports world in 20 minutes or less, plus instant reactions, game recaps, and Locked On's take of the day. Locked On Sports Today, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. How about a nerdy stat of the day while we wait for Ron?
Analytics fans rejoice
It's time to get educated
Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now.
with the nerdy stat of the day.
And we have Ron popping in right now. Maybe we'll hold that until we bring up Ron Johnson on the Minnesota Football Party. He's the host of the Ron Johnson Show. He's on Twitter at 3RonJohnson. It's Sam, it's Inman, it's Hasan, Braun, and Ron. Ron, what's up, my man?
What's going on? How you guys doing?
All right, Ron. Kwesi and KOC yesterday, they were asked about the Justin Jefferson possible extension negotiations. They said they've started talking with his representation. Do you have any thought for the ballpark of what this deal is going to look like? Keeping in mind the leading contract for wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, $30 million a year. What number do you think Jefferson's going to get?
Oh, man, that's tough. It depends on how long he wants to be a Viking and how long they want him. A lot of guys, I think if you can guarantee it and spread it out, because now you can do fully guaranteed contracts, I think we have a chance to see that. I know right now it's been quarterbacks, but you look at Justin Jefferson, he hasn't shown any sign of possibly getting injured. He's been very durable, taking big hits, still willing to get back in the game. So this might be one of those situations where instead of asking for $30 million a year, you take 20, but you spread it out. And you spread it out over whatever you think his longevity could be, 8-10 years. And you say, hey, we're going to guarantee you whatever that might be. If it's $200 million, if it's $150 million, if it's $170 million guaranteed, but let's spread it out so that we can still get other pieces of this pie into this organization. And I think we have a chance to see it. Like, this might be the first fully guaranteed receiver contract in the NFL. And so, again, I don't know what Justin wants. You don't know what the Vikings are willing to pay. But yeah, 30 million seems a lot when you think about how cap strapped they are. So I'd be interested to see if they can spread it out, but still guarantee it. So, hey, you're not going to get it now, but it's yours. You know,
That
even
would
if you
be
get hurt, it's yours.
Unbelievably generous, I think, on Jefferson's part to sign a deal like that, just because I think there's a point of pride, right, Ron, when you think you're the best in the league.
Yeah.
You want to set the market for your peers. You want to set that new number so that the next guy, so when Jamar Chase, his buddy, comes along the next year, Jamar Chase can say, well, Jefferson got 32. I want 33.
Right.
Is there kind of an unspoken bond between you and your receiver peers that's kind of the way you're going to operate when you negotiate these things, do you think?
No, it's everybody. Like when you think about guys that get franchised, that's always what they look at. Who are the top 5 paid guys that are going to help me get, if I'm getting franchised, who are those top guys at this moment? Because sometimes getting franchised can hurt you, and sometimes it's like, you know what? Look at Kirk Cousins. He got $44 million within the span of 2 years, so it's not a bad deal. But then you look at other guys that get franchised, and their top 5 peers aren't making that much, so they get screwed in their mind, even though it's like, $18 million, but oh yeah, you got screwed 2 years, 18 million. But when you think about that and you say that, like the yearly amount, at the end of the day, they could say, hey, Justin, we'll give you 4 years, $32 million a year. And then, is he going to be a value to get more? Like, can he continue to ask for that money when he's in his 30s? And I think that's going to be the question too, is like, do you want generational wealth, or do you maybe, and again, if you get $100 million anyway in 4 years, you got it. But that's the other key. Like what's the benefit and the bonus? Like, because his agent can say, hey, Justin, like this long-term deal is better because you're going to get more guaranteed money. And there's no guarantee that in 10 years, you're going to garner $20 million in the NFL, but they've already paid you for it. So it doesn't matter what you look like in 8 to 10 years. And so that's the other side of this, like receivers, like other than Jerry Rice, receivers aren't like quarterbacks. You're not playing until you're 38. So you have to think about that as well. Like, what is a 34, 35-year-old receiver getting right now in today's NFL? It's not $20 million. And I think that's the other side of it, is like, it's going to hurt both of them. It's going to hurt the Vikings later. It maybe hurt Justin a little early, but then at the end, he's getting his guaranteed money. Yeah. When we're saying, hey, you're going to get $20 million. So just an idea, just a thought. It's not going to happen because I don't think anybody's going to do that, but
don't think it's happening.
I like the idea. And if it happens, then just play this video back and be like, man, Ron saw it.
Oh, 100%.
Ron had
We've got the receipts.
Yeah. But no, I mean, if he does get $31 million a year, and that's what he asked for over like 6 years or something like that, $180 million, where it's whatever sign-in bonuses, or maybe no sign-in bonus, and it's just a yearly guarantee like Deshaun Watson. Then maybe that's another way to go about it. Or if it's incentive laden and it's $30 million with incentives of MVP, of, receiving crown and all that stuff, there's other options there too.
Inman, what you got?
Yeah, Ron, I'm going to switch gears a little bit here, come out of left field, because I was watching actually 2015 Hard Knocks Houston Texans clips last night. And it got me thinking, as a former player in the league, when the week goes by, all right, normal Monday through Friday timeline, what's a specific practice day look like for an NFL player? Like, do you start out in the full team meeting right when you walk in the door? Do you go to the positional group meeting? If I'm JJ, do I go and talk with Keenan McCardell first and then go to the team meeting? When does the install portion happen during the week? And, what's something maybe just the public may not know or find noteworthy or interesting about the daily or weekly routine of an NFL player?
Well, let's talk about the playoff players now, so we can kind of talk about the Vikings last week to put it into perspective. Everybody's different now, because back in the day, we didn't have iPads. We had literal DVDs. So we would get our DVDs on either like Monday morning or Tuesday, depending on when you went over there. You got your DVD. Now, some players didn't show up to Wednesday, so they get it on Wednesday. So literally, we had to wait to get our DVD to install for the week. So that was whatever day you decided to get it, that was your day to start watching some of the film, some of the stuff. Is now it's all iPad. They can throw it out in the cloud. Players have it on their iPad, so then they can easily start to get some of the film for that week of the team they're playing, plus some of the install plays of like, hey, here's video of 8 to 10 plays we really want to hit on this week. Just watch them, understand your concepts. I think for the thought process around that is you start Wednesday. Like, install truly starts Wednesday for everybody. Quarterbacks and some of the high-level guys, it starts early in the week because they have to kind of really be in it. But honestly, Wednesday is when it starts. And yeah, it starts with the team meeting, and then you break into your offense-defense meeting, and then you break down to your position meetings. But again, you can flip-flop it. You can say team meeting first because you always kind of start with the team. Then you break out into individual meetings. And then you might say, okay, after individuals, we're going to come back as an offense after you guys have met to kind of talk about your install per
But
position.
usually 3 meetings then. You got your positional, your side of the ball, your phase, and then the full team.
Yep,
meeting.
and then you
That's
also have
pretty
special teams first, because special teams always has to go at 8 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. because, you know, it's the hardworking blue-collar group that does all the dirty work that nobody wants to do. So they're first. Like, special teams is first. That way guys like Ray Lewis can just chill in the locker room or show up a little late, because team meeting is not till like 8:30. But yeah, special teams is in there at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then you have team, and then you have whether it's offense or it's just we're going to go straight to positions, because the offense, you know, guys have already said, hey, we don't need to meet. You guys have all the stuff you need to tell your guys. But yeah, no, it starts there. You set the tone in the team meeting, special teams meeting, and then you break out.
How about the Monday or Tuesday? You hear a lot of coaches say, we'll see you Tuesday or Wednesday, and everybody goes nuts and cheers. If not, Monday, what are you doing? You show up and you're just
Monday is literally rehab only. So rehab and lifting. So you have a lift, and some guys do their own lift, and veterans have their own trainers and all that stuff. You have your own masseuse or whatever you do on Monday. So as long as you get it done, coaches don't care. They're not going to force you to do it. If you don't have that person, they want you to be there to lift, and it's also team building, because you're lifting with your guys.
Right.
You're getting your lift in, you're getting a little jog in, maybe some cardio. You might do a little walkthrough or breakdown if you want of like stuff that you went over. Tuesday is literally day off. But again, if you're hurt, rehab, if you want to get a workout in, get in the sauna, get food. I mean, again, now they have a chef, like especially the Vikings. You have a chef now. You have a cafeteria. Like, I'm not going to the local fast food joint when I got a chef upstairs making me a nice Caesar salad with the fresh chicken off the grill. Like, yeah, no. So it's a lot different now. Why would I not
be here?
Right? Exactly. Like, you're going to have I mean, they'll send emails out, hey, pasta tonight, whoever wants to show up and eat dinner. Hey, why are you going to go pay noodles or somebody when you can get free pasta upstairs from a chef? So, yeah, I think a lot of players take advantage of that now. But yeah, Tuesday would be kind of another day off. But hey, if I'm single, I'm going to have somebody cook for me.
Love it. Love it. Really. Yeah. No, that's great stuff. Thanks, Ron.
Braun, what you got?
Yeah, I've been thinking about after the Giants game, like the immediate moments after Alexander Madison, he was like kneeling at the 50-yard line. He spent a bunch of extra time. He was really just taking it in. He's a pending free agent. And I mean, he's so close with Dalvin Cook. And I just think about those two guys who, you know, they've played together for so long here now, and they're such close friends, and now they're probably going to have to go their separate ways. And I was wondering if you had if you could reminisce a little bit. Who are the guys that you played with, whether it was college or in the pros, that you got real tight with?
Well, this is what I'll say. Life goes on, and so do we. I forgot what show that was. But sometimes life goes on, and so do we. Family. I don't know what that was. I forgot what
that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you think about Adrian Peterson and Jet McKinnon, for instance, I mean, it happens all the time. Guys split up from their guys. You think about Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. This is the name of the game. So honestly, too, Alexander Madison, I think a little bit of his. I mean, the dude walks around with like a what is that thing? A GoPro or something. So a lot of times, man, some of these players put on for the gram because they want to like make a video and do a reel later of like, you know, the Boys to Men playing in the background with him walking off the field. So don't be surprised, Luke, if you see a video pop up of Alexander Madison of a whole season breakdown. It ends with him taking it all in on the field with like a montage of Jodeci and Boys to Men. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Ooh, bum, 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 bum. I mean, come on now. Like, you know something's coming. But
oh, man.
I'd say guys that I was close with that I'm still friends with, like Terry Jones, tight end from Alabama, was drafted with me. Javen Hunter, whose son now, Jay Ivey, plays for the Detroit Pistons. Javen and I still talk, but Terry Jones was actually in my wedding. He was a groomsman in our wedding. I was a groomsman in his wedding. So he and I got really close. Chester Taylor, another guy I played with, came to the Vikings. Not as close, but I know, you know, I have his number, and whenever he's in town, you know, I go up and check him out. And guys like that. Like I say, I told Sam that I have so many pictures in my phone of like the season that I haven't like posted yet. I got to figure out how to maybe put it in some kind of reel or something. But like Chester was up here this season, so he and I got to reconnect a little bit. I'd say those are kind of the guys that I am most like, close with from that. But then there's guys that I didn't play with who've come on the show, but we were just friends through the draft process. When you look at Roy Williams and I, every time, we go somewhere, All-Star game, Super Bowl, whatever, we're hanging out. He's always willing to jump on the show for me. Aiken Andale out of Purdue, Tank Williams, who came on the show, he and I trained together. So honestly, it was a few guys with the Ravens, but it was more about guys that I played with, and like Spice Adams, guys that I played with in high school and college and worked out with them. Those guys have actually become closer. The NFL, I hate to say it, you're going to have your one or two, and then it's kind of surface after that. Like it's surface friendships that you stay connected to guys. But then again, like I said, there's always those cliques of guys that kind of were close, but a lot of guys move away, don't live in the same states anymore. And so it's tough. It is tough. But no, I'd say like me and Terry, we FaceTime. Myself and Spice, we FaceTime. Like we try to get that in and make sure we FaceTime and talk. So I'd say that those are the guys.
And don't know how I'm going to follow that. The question is actually kind of related to this Alexander Madison thing. It was about the fact that some of these guys have played the last football of their career, not just with a particular team, and they're going to have to figure out a life after football.
Mm-hmm.
You've done spectacularly for yourself, male model, media mogul, singer, right?
Well,
there's a lot going on for you.
I'm actually doing a audition today for a hand model. Like
hand model. How do you?
Dang.
You don't have any on your hands. It's all.
Well, I can't say who. It's a football player that must have a commercial coming out. Okay. Pro football player. He is in the Hall of Fame. I can't say who it is, but he has a commercial coming out. So they reached out, and he's black, clearly, because they reached out to. Could you imagine like a Joe Montana commercial that's like my hands pushing the ball
like
across
an
the
SNL
street?
skit, honestly.
That is great.
You got a manicure today then to get ready for that?
I can only imagine though, like a white person being mad, like, why couldn't I be in that commercial? Like, sir, he's black.
The pigmentation.
Like the Elvis thing, like the Elvis that they were Elvis talking about, but he's white. He's white.
I just wanted to ask, like, how prepared a lot of football players are for life after football, or like the focus that you just have in order to be a professional football player.
90% of the players, I would say, are not focused on after football. I will say the NFLPA and the NFL is doing a better job now of getting guys like interviews and going and being interns in the off season and going. And my dad, I'd say I got to give credit to my dad. After winning a Super Bowl, he went and became a realtor. So he went from Super Bowl champion, his second Super Bowl, back-to-back Super Bowl winners, and then first round draft pick, number one, 22 overall. So he was the Justin Jefferson of the Steelers. And then went and got his realtor's license. And so he would always tell me those stories like, hey, like never think enough is enough. And so for me, it helped me to kind of mentally just always kind of have irons in the fire, always talk to people. Like I was told by a lot of media people, like, man, you were always great at giving us time with interviews. And you would always, even with the Ravens, I remember sitting down with Sage Steele, and that's what Sage and I are friends now, because I would give her a ton of time after games, mic'd up. I was not a star on the team, but they would mic me up because I guess I do like to talk. So they thought it'd be good content of just random, like super random conversations. Like I used to have the most random conversations. So it worked out for me. I mean, I remember having the Browns game, I was mic'd up, and thank God I scored. Pump block, I think, by like Bart Scott. We were on the sideline talking about wet pants. Like I saw that clip one day, and I'm like, what the heck was I talking about? Like
those are the best conversations.
And this is the crazy thing.
People at home are
we talked about wet pants so much that day because we talked about being a kid, and you guys might remember this. Like when you would slide and you're playing outside and it's wet, and then you got to decide, like, am I going to stay outside all day with cold, wet pants, or am I going to go in the house and change? And we were having a conversation during the game about wet pants. And then this is funny. After the pump block, we end up doing the wet pants dance. Like it's the dance where like you just got to go. I don't know how to find the clip, but go if you can find the Cleveland Browns versus Ravens game, like 2020 or 2024. Whoa, 2004, 2003. Pump block by Bart Scott. I score. The dance I did, we called it the wet pants because it's like you have to keep your legs straight because you don't want your pants to touch your legs.
Right.
So yeah, it was, and you can see other guys around me doing it who knew the story about the wet pants. Super dumb. And then we come off the sideline. Everybody's like, "Oh man, you did the wet pants." I'm like, I look back on that like it's so cringy. It's like, what were we doing? Talking about wet pants,
That
but yeah,
rules.
no. But players,
That rules. I don't care. That rules.
But players, when you think about it was a terrible dance too. But players, it might actually be cool now though, because now that I look at the dance, it's literally I might have to do this because what's the guy? The Schmurder dance, Bobby Schmurder. It's that dance. It's like the legs are straight. Oh man, Schmurder took my dance. Like Bobby Schmurder stole my dance. He's doing the wet pants and calls it the Schmurder now. But that was what we did. Like it was the straight leg, like old school. But anyway, so when you talk about players being prepared, this is what I look at. I look at guys like Alexander Madison, who is working on his YouTube channel, doing things like that, getting Instagram reels out there, being a person of the people. Look at Cam Bynum, a guy that's constantly in the camera talking about it's a movie, talking about he wants to be a movie actor. Like guys like that, I think will be fine. Because then there's guys like Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen. Those guys aren't gonna like Adam Thielen is already preparing. Him and CJ Ham have gyms now, and Harrison Smith. Like those guys are working towards like, hey, when I'm done, I want to be a fitness owner, like of a gym. I want to continue this. But then you look at guys like Kirk Cousins, he won't need to do it. I mean, he has $100+ million. Like there are guys that don't need to do it. But guys like Tom Brady still has $200 million and going to get 300 when he walks away. So some guys are prepared, but I'd say 90% are literally like they're going to play there 2-3 years like I did, and they don't know. I was blessed by Tony Dungy. Like I was able to go play in Canada, play in the Arena League, and Tony Dungy reached out to me, called my dad, "Hey, do you want to come coach?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I went and coached for Tony Dungy. Like who's going to say no to that? Peyton Manning's the quarterback, Reggie Wayne's the receiver. Sure, I'll be there for 2 years. So went to coach for him. And then from there, the Big Ten Network, I was, in Chicago and in Indiana, and Big Ten Network reached out to me. And so again, just blessed. They were like, "Hey, come audition." They gave me a season. I color commentated, and then it parlayed it into this with Fox and Fox and game one has nothing to do with TV. But Fox and Locked On, and so it's parlayed from there. But it was me going through the trials and tribulations of what a young player who only made, and again, I know people are like, "What? That's a lot of money," but only made like $2.5 million in a short span, and then turn around and have to go figure out what I want to do with my life. Like, yes, I didn't have to work for a little bit, but I knew I had to work. Like $2-3 million does not last you for. That's why every time I see like people on these like reality shows and they win like $500,000 or $1 million, and they think like, "Oh, I'm about to take care of my whole family." How? Like that's a house. Like, bruh, you getting half of that, and then you gonna get you a $400,000 house, and think you'll still take care of your family? Come on now, stop it right now. Like you're crazy. So I always look at that. Like I tell my wife that I'm like, if we hit this $1 million lottery, like that's doing nothing but going in our savings. Like we are not doing anything crazy.
It is so easy for people to spend through money really quickly, especially if they get it. Really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
It's just difficult to.
I'm cheap though, so it works out for me. I get it. It's going in my savings account.
You're investing in pedicures so that you can improve your hand model.
Yeah, it's an investment and it's a write-off.
It is a write-off. That's why I said I got to go get a manicure today. Like people joke about that. It is the best experience. We need to do a group Locked On.
Let's go
manicure day.
I mean,
yes.
But like my hand model stuff. And if I get the role, if I don't get the role though, I'll still tell you guys who the person is. Maybe I'll tell you off camera anyway, but no, it was super random. They're like, "Hey, can you send us, videos of your hands? Because we want your audition for this commercial for this guy. He's going to be the main person."
I feel like you gotta know and trust who that is, because that would freak me out if I didn't know who that was.
I know who it is, and so now I'm like, okay, I get what they're thinking. Like, I see where they're going with this.
But you just get a text like, "Hey, I need some videos of your hands." It's like, not today, buddy.
Yeah. Before we go, Ron, I want to share this. Do you see the screen?
Oh, wow.
There it is.
Look at that.
I look a little fast right there.
The wet pants.
We need to see the dance. Say, what are you doing?
I don't think it showed it. I think it cut to the next highlight.
Yeah, the dance was only on the mic'd up part for the Ravens, so I got to figure out if they can send it to me. I look kind of fast there, though, man.
Yeah,
I think it was either Ed Reed or Bart Scott. I'm not sure who.
Ron, what was your 40? We're gonna have to compare it to Sam's 40. He just had to run
like
one.
4.5, 4.51.
Oh, that's pretty close to your Sam. What was it? 7.5?
Yeah, sub 7.
Less than
6.95.
Hey, Sam, that was the Bengals, wasn't it? That wasn't the Browns. That was the Bengals. Game. Yeah, it was Bengals. Yeah, because we won that game 27. Because I got the ball. It's behind me.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
27-23, December 1st, 2003. Yeah. Block
I
punt
love
return for
that
a
they have the
touchdown.
old NFL primetime, though. That's cool that we get to see that.
That's awesome.
Ron Johnson show, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, roundtables Friday. Ron, we'll see you on the roundtable in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to it. We're going to talk about Adam Thielen and his wife's tweet.
Ooh, yeah.
Talk about that.
That's interesting.
Got to break that down.
Closet
That's a good
Packers fan Adam
tease.
Thielen.
Right.
I will say before I get out of here, Luke Braun tweeted something out today about Justin Jefferson and Kwesi. Actually, I can't believe I agreed with Luke. I'm like, Luke with a normal,
people are being insane about him.
Passive aggressive tweet. It was a little passive aggressive, but
oh yeah, I'm subtweeting several people.
What was the? I don't want to follow Luke on Twitter.
People think Justin Jefferson wants out, which is insane.
Who thinks that? What?
There have been articles written, like full on.
And it says, like, his tweet says, like Justin, do you want to be
clickbait.
here? He says yes. It says, Kwesi, do you want Justin to be here? He says yes. And then he says, people on Twitter, Justin Jefferson wants to leave. I'm like, I actually agree with Luke. Look at Luke in the offseason.
People
he's growing a heart. His heart has grown 2 sizes bigger.
I'm really glad
that nerdy stat of the day.
It started the season off with his heart was 2 sizes too small, and now look at it.
Oh, this is heartwarming. They're becoming friends, guys, in front
I'm
of our eyes.
I don't
Based
like
on our conversation earlier, I'm actually
Peter Bukowski can make anybody be friends. Like,
there you go.
You just need
us all together.
Which, again, as a valued member of the Locked On Network, this is a compliment we're giving Peter. He really knows how to bring a lot of people together.
We're like, it's like the Avengers and Thanos. Like, but I'm not gonna give him Thanos because he's not that powerful. He's like the dude. He's like the dude in the movie. Remember Thanos' guy that they blew up the opening of the hole, and then he went out into space and turned in like he couldn't breathe in space, so he died. That dude, the magical dude, the henchman. Like, yeah, they like make stuff move with his hand, and he's chasing Doctor Strange, and he's through this he like makes stuff float. That guy, like that's Peter Bukowski. He's like Thanos' right hand, but he's gonna die. He's gonna die.
Sam, what's your take on that?
Hand, but he's gonna die. That's going on Twitter too. Thanks a lot, Ron. Good stuff.
Thanks, Ron.
Appreciate you.
From Ron Johnson, as always. How about our nerdy stat of the day that we tease? Let's run that back.
Analytics fans rejoice.
It's time to get educated.
Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now.
With the nerdy stat of the day.
Braun, it sounded like you had a doozy. Let's hear it.
I just had one I think Ron will like. Kirk Cousins, EPA per play under pressure, ended up 8th in the league. That's a big deal for Kirk Cousins and how he's perceived and struggling under pressure and all that. 8th best EPA per play under pressure.
Kirk likes the blitz, doesn't he? Is that a thing?
It was kind of a thing all year that
historically
they got killed early.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they turned that around a little bit, and they managed to make their blitz counters a little better.
Yep. And that's a pretty large sample size too, because he got hit a ton. Arif?
So I tweeted this out a couple of days ago, but the perfectly covered plays statistic I really enjoy a lot. It is a statistic that determines, based off of essentially PFF and All-22 grading all the receivers, if every receiver has a neutral or positive grade on a play, or not a receiver, a cornerback or secondary or coverage player. It's a perfectly covered play. On average, there's about 35% of perfectly covered plays in the NFL. And the Vikings over the past 3 years have hit that average, about 35%. The 2 best teams in the wild card round had perfectly covered play rates of 55% or better. Incredible work from the 2 of them. I believe it was the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Dallas Cowboys. Cool. Awesome. The Vikings were dead last in wild card weekend, 20.8%.
Yeesh.
Yeah. That tape is a horror show.
It's really
Kurt Warner apparently just published like a 40-minute video breaking down the film. I'm excited to watch it.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So basically the same length as his previous video on when he broke down the final play.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
So long. Luke Inman.
Yeah, Vikings defense, they were second worst in yards after the catch given up as a defense in the league. So normally, team gives up a lot of yaks due to sloppy tackling efforts by the defense. Not the case. Vikings had the 6th fewest missed tackles in the NFL, These guys were so wide open when they caught the ball, though.
Jesus.
There was so much opportunity to run free after the catch before a defender was even in the area before being brought down. That was pretty wild. They were also third most in total air yards as well. Only the Lions and Titans gave up more air yards in the league. Last one, too, I saw this one. Luke brought this up. I think it was probably a month ago by now. Harrison Smith blitzes. He ended the year with just 9 blitzes from the safety position. I believe that was the lowest in his career in the Zimmer era. Cam Bynum, just 1 safety blitz all season.
Dang. Underutilized. The Vikings defense, keep this in mind for perspective. The worst defense in the NFL yards-wise, the Detroit Lions, gave up 392 yards per game. So that's the worst defense in the league. In 7 of the final 10 efforts, the Vikings defense gave up more than 400.
Not bad.
What more do you need to say? It's a bad unit. Bad unit. Here's the deal. First of all, before we get into our next betting contest, Luke Inman, what is the status of the punishment video? The masses are clamoring.
Yep. Monday, when we're all back together, reunited, Monday we will premiere Sam's Combine video. It's about halfway done through editing. I'm not going to give away any teasers or anything like that today. No trailer for this one, but it's going to be a good one. You don't want to miss next Monday.
I do want to miss next Monday. Can I skip it? Can I not be here?
How's your shin, Sam?
Yeah, I left literal blood, sweat, and tears out on the field. I've got about 18 little micro cuts on my ankle from the layer of ice that I had to run through. Poured it out. I left it all out there. And I think I'm better for it. I think I'm a stronger man.
Hey, you picked the spot.
I have no one to blame but myself. I picked my attire. So I accept
an unfortunate weather with the snow that had kind of packed down and melted a little bit, then frozen back over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of ice.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of ice. It could have been my face. I did not face plant at all. And that's good. What?
Oh, we have that too.
Okay, great.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Don't want to give too much away, but that'll be fun. All right, so the new deal, we're going to make a $500 parlay each of the next 3 weeks through the playoffs. It can be low risk. It can be high risk, high reward, whatever you want. Just has to be a $500 parlay. Who wants to start? Who's got their parlay ready?
I don't.
I got it.
Go.
I'm going with Buffalo's total points over 26.5. That's one that you can do at BetOnline instead of betting on like the whole spread. Just Buffalo over 26.5. I still believe in that offense, and I believe that team. I just believe in the Bills this playoffs. I think they've got something special about them, and they've had it all year. And I'm going to parlay that with Christian Kirk under 5.5 receptions. That parlay is plus 245 at BetOnline. The Chiefs like to live in a too high structure, and when that happens, the Jags tend to go away from Christian Kirk.
Cool.
All right, I'm going to go Travis Kelce over 6.5 receptions. That's at minus 136. And then I'm going to combine that with Dak Prescott over under. I'm going to take the over 0.5 interceptions in San Francisco at minus 148, plus 192.
I'm going to take just a normal spread, Philadelphia -8. Just kind of love that matchup. And it's going to be a same game parlay, which I know some services offer like some sort of special bonus for those. Not doing that. We're doing a Devonta Smith over 60 or 67 receiving yards, or at least 67. So I guess over 66.5. Combined, that is plus 227.
I missed the first part. What was the first part?
Philadelphia
Eagles
-8.
Eagles -8. And what were the final odds?
Plus 227.
Thank you. All right. I'm going former Vikings touchdown parlay. Diggs and McKinnon are both going to score touchdowns, but here's the kicker. Stephon Diggs is going to score 2 touchdowns.
Oh,
Wow.
We're going hot. This has got to be like plus 1,300 or something.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Plus 975, y'all.
Let's
Diggs,
go.
2 scores. McKinnon, 1.
It's time to tell you who spilled their proverbial drink on the sofa. Get ready for this week's party foul.
I'll rip mine out. Kind of easy one. Brett Maher, what are we doing, bro? 4 straight?
Yes, God.
4 in a row, like in a row, 4 of them. Vikings fans know this feeling better than anyone and want to know why we still allow soccer-style kickers to come determine the outcome of these gladiator ultimate warrior games. The best athletes in the world pitting up against one another, giving blood, sweat, and tears, and the winner and loser is still decided by a soccer player and the worst athlete on the field to kick an oblong ball. It's just wild, guys. Like, get rid of kicking. I think if they got rid of kicking, the Vikings would be considered one of the best franchises in the NFL.
Absolutely
I'm
not.
convinced.
They would find a new way to screw it all up.
Yep.
Especially on a routine type play, for sure.
Okay.
My party foul, in the spirit of mailing things in at the end of this episode, my party foul is on Caitlin Thielen for assuming that the social media stuff wouldn't get back to her and just like talking about Adam Thielen like leaving and stuff like that without really having an understanding of that getting out. That's kind of silly. Not going to talk about any of the other Caitlin Thielen stuff that's come out. Just that.
You think that it's unintentional? I think it's very intentional.
No, I think it's unintentional. Like because she like closed her Twitter account and stuff. Like she did not expect it. The way she acted made it seem like she did not expect people to respond.